Top 10 Best Chevy Muscle Cars Ever Made. The 1970 Chevy Chevelle LS6 made this car even more popular than it already was. This was the pinnacle of the muscle car era for the Chevelle, giving drivers one of the largest engines and most exciting cars to rocket down a drag strip. This Chevy muscle car was the first remake since the 1965 model. The Rock Crusher transmission was legendary in the Chevelle, but there were a few more tricks in this glorious muscle car. This Chevelle featured a Holley carburetor and an aluminum low-rise intake manifold. The LS6 powered models came with a fully functional cowl induction hood to increase horsepower. The top speed figures of the 1968 COPO Nova weren't important. It was the 0 to 60 mph sprint time that mattered. The 1968 COPO Nova was one of the first COPO Chevys. The COPO Nova came about when Fred Gibb got bitten the racing bug after hearing stories of an employee at his dealership who was winning drag races in a 1967 Camaro ZL1. Gibb created the COPO Nova to be faster and meaner than anything else at the drag strip. The 1966 version of the Chevelle was redesigned with the boxed look of the previous version tossed out, and a new body with a more aerodynamic shape took its place. With this body style change, the 396 cubic inch L78 engine became more common. These new Chevelles wore a special SS 396 badge indicating the power offered. The big V8 engine delivered the good with excellent power and speed in a new and sportier looking Chevelle body style. There were more than 70,000 Chevelles sold for the 1966 model year, with 3,099 of them featuring the L78 engine. The 1969 Camaro ZL1 is considered one of the best Chevy muscle cars of all time, but it wasn't thought up by Chevy engineers but by Fred Gibb, a legendary Chevy car dealer. The idea was to build a Camaro that was more powerful and faster than others to compete in the NHRA Superstock drag races. For the 1969 Camaro ZL1 to compete in the NHRA events, Chevy had to build 50 of these cars. Gibb made that easy by ordering 50 of them to ill this requirement. Other than the 50 he bought, only 19 more were made, but Gibb got his wish to take this car to NHRA events. Today, this Camaro is one of the most sought after in the world. The Yenko Camaros came before the legendary COPO models, but the 1969 COPO Camaro became a performance staple in the NHRA world. This Camaro was the result of Don Yenko's vision to offer high-powered Chevy muscle cars to the masses. Yenko was a legendary car dealer known for taking GM production cars and building them up. The basic mechanics of the COPO Camaro were the same as the ZL1, which was order number 9560. The COPO Camaro became known as order number 9561 with special badges, trim, and a scooped hood added by Yenko. The 1980s wasn't the kindest decade for muscle cars. Oil embargoes and regulations caused many of our favorite cars to be underpowered machines with little to offer. Still, the 1987 Chevy Monte Carlo SS was a fun, active, and muscle-bound car with a fantastic small-block V8. Unfortunately, the 1980s restrictions limited this engine to 180 horsepower. The Monte Carlo SS wasn't the fastest car of the 1980s, but it was one of the most fun to drive, with power sent to the wheels that could make the tires smoke before rocketing off the line. Very few of the top Chevy muscle cars came after the 1970s, but the Monte Carlo SS is worth including in this list. The 1965 Chevelle was a force to be reckoned with, bringing an impressive power plant in its standard form. The Z16 model packed 25 more horsepower than the standard model, which means every Chevelle was an impressive muscle car. The Z16 version has a stronger convertible frame and rear reinforcements to make it more capable at the drag strip. The 1965 Chevelle Z16 was a bit of a poorly kept secret. This car was never advertised as an option because Chevy wouldn't be able to produce this car in high volume. Many of the Z16 models made were given to race winners and movie stars and used as dealership promotion vehicles. By the time the COPO Chevelle came to be, Chevrolet and Don Yenko were on a roll. The Chevelle was called COPO 9562, which was the next order number in line after the Camaro ZL1 9560 and the original COPO Camaro 9501. This incredibly powerful Chevelle came with front disc brakes, a heavy-duty suspension, a heavy-duty radiator, and the impressive Monte 4-speed transmission. These upgrades make the 1969 COPO Chevelle one of the best Chevy muscle cars ever made. Unlike other COPO models, the COPO Chevelle looked like any other Chevelle on the lot. It's been estimated that 323 COPO Chevelles were made. The 1967 Chevrolet Camaro was the first model year of what would become a legendary muscle car. When this car arrived, it came with more options than most people could imagine, making it a hit right out of the gate. The base engines offered plenty of power and push, but the big block V8 engine wasn't present when the car first arrived. The Supersport Camaro came a little later with the option of either the 35 engine that produced 325 horsepower or the more powerful L78 engine. The L78 Camaro could finish a quarter-mile sprint in the low 13s, which made 1,138 Camaro owners very happy when they took ownership of them. Although most people didn't order the COPO or ZL1 Camaro models in 1969, there was one other model that provided plenty of power, making it one of the best Chevy muscle cars of the time. The RPO, regular production order, Camaro listed a 396 big block version with up to 375 horsepower. The L78 package gave this Camaro the upgraded power desired, which could be made more power with the L89 package, which added aluminum heads to the engine. Although the L78 was rated at 375 horsepower, many drivers have reported higher horsepower figures during actual driving tests. So, we have shared with you top 10 best Chevy muscle cars ever made. Hope they will be useful to you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.